A lot of people think the most dangerous financial years are the years when you are obviously broke. The years when every bill feels heavy, every purchase needs a courtroom-level justification, and your bank account keeps reminding you that adulthood is not a hobby. Those years are hard, obviously, but they are not always the years that do the deepest long-term damage. A different kind of damage often starts later. It starts when your income finally improves, your life gets a little easier, and you begin to feel like you are finally about to get ahead. That should be the moment where things become solid. And emotionally, it often does feel that way at first. You are not panicking as much. You are not saying no to everything. You are not living with that same constant pressure where even ordinary spending feels slightly humiliating. But the moment the money improves, something else wakes up. All the things you postponed while you were struggling start asking to be handled now. The car you kept nursing along suddenly feels impossible to defend. The apartment that once felt temporary now feels depressing. The bad mattress, the old clothes, the neglected health stuff, the weak routines, the cheap workarounds, the tiny daily discomforts you kept telling yourself were fine for now. All of it starts showing up with perfect timing. And because those needs are real, the spending does not feel reckless. It feels overdue. It feels earned. It feels like life is finally becoming normal. That is what makes this phase so financially dangerous. People assume more income will automatically turn into savings, investing, and stability. But if the first good years of money get swallowed by years of delayed repairs, postponed comfort, and all the underfunded parts of life trying to get paid at once, then the new income does not become strength. It becomes catch-up, and catch-up is one of the fastest ways to make better money disappear without ever feeling like you wasted it. Nick here. And today I want to talk about why the first years of higher income can quietly become some of the most financially fragile years of your adult life, how old deprivation creates new spending pressure, and why a lot of people do not stay stuck because they never made more money. They stay stuck because the moment they finally did, the backlog got there first. Why catching up feels different from lifestyle inflation. Most people understand lifestyle inflation in theory. You make more, so you spend more. Fine. But catch-up spending is psychologically different. Lifestyle inflation sounds shallow, like someone got a raise and instantly needed a better watch and sparkling water with a European accent. Catch-up spending feels justified. That is what makes it dangerous. You are not buying nonsense. You are replacing the phone that should have been replaced a year ago. You are finally going to the dentist. You are buying work clothes that do not make you feel like you are playing an underfunded side character in your own life. You are moving out of the apartment that has been draining your spirit through bad lighting and suspicious plumbing. You are fixing things, upgrading basics, recovering dignity, buying back comfort, trying to create the version of adult life you feel like you should have had already. That does not feel irresponsible, and a lot of it is not irresponsible on its own. The issue is scale. Because if 5 years of postponed comfort and deferred maintenance all try to get paid from the first 2 or 3 years of decent income, the money disappears into repair work before it ever becomes capital. That is the catch-up trap, the emotional math behind it. Here is what is really happening underneath all of this. Deprivation has memory. People think sacrifice disappears once the money improves. It usually does not. It accumulates emotionally. Every year you spent making do, your brain was quietly building a list. One day I'm getting a better place. One day I'm buying a decent couch. One day I'm replacing this car. One day I'm not going to have to think this hard about groceries. One day I'm going to stop feeling slightly behind every time I walk into a room. So when the income finally rises, the spending does not feel like indulgence. It feels like overdue justice. And that is a very powerful emotional frame, because it turns restraint off. The person is no longer asking, "Does this build my future?" They are asking, "Haven't I earned this by now?" That question can justify almost anything if you have enough history behind it. The first dangerous category, comfort repair. Let's start with the most obvious place new money gets absorbed. Comfort. A lot of adults have been physically uncomfortable for longer than they admit. Bad mattress, bad chair, bad commute, bad apartment, bad kitchen setup, bad climate control, bad shoes, bad work tools, bad sleep. And once income improves, all of those things suddenly feel intolerable. Again, that is not crazy. If your daily life has been full of avoidable friction, wanting relief is reasonable. The problem is that comfort repair can become a bottomless category if no one puts structure around it. Because comfort does not arrive in one clean purchase. It arrives as the better apartment, then the moving costs, then the furniture, then the household fixes, then the organizational stuff, then the nicer routines, then the subscriptions and services that help maintain the upgraded life. This is how someone can tell themselves they are just fixing their living situation and end up committing an extra $800 or $1,200 a month before they have built any real financial floor underneath it. Now the life is nicer, but the margin is gone. The second dangerous category, image repair. This one matters more than people like to admit. A lot of catch-up spending is really about repairing how you feel in public. Better clothes, better grooming, better accessories, better travel, better restaurants, better social participation. Not because you are trying to look rich in some cartoonish way, because after years of feeling slightly underdressed, slightly under-resourced, slightly behind, and slightly out of sync with the world around you, money starts getting used to repair identity. You want to feel current, adult, polished, not obviously recovering. This is especially intense for people whose income rose after a long period of comparison. Maybe friends were doing better sooner. Maybe coworkers seemed more put together. Maybe your peers had a cleaner-looking life while you were silently making do. So when money finally arrives, some of it goes into closing that emotional gap. Again, completely understandable. Also extremely expensive if it is not managed. Because image repair is one of those categories where there is no natural stopping point. You can always justify one more thing as part of finally becoming the version of yourself you had postponed. The third dangerous category, convenience relief. This one gets people fast. After years of having to do everything the hard way, people become very vulnerable to convenience. Delivery, ride shares, pre-cut, pre-planned, pre-handled life, cleaning services, faster options, less friction, no more always taking the cheapest route through adulthood. And honestly, some convenience is a perfectly sane use of money. A life that requires constant effort in every category is not noble. It is exhausting. The problem is that people who are coming from years of scarcity often do not adopt convenience gradually. They fall into it like someone who just discovered indoor heating. Because convenience does not feel like consumption when you have been over-functioning for years. It feels like mercy. And mercy is hard to budget once your nervous system gets attached to it. A case study that makes this painfully clear. Imagine someone goes from earning $52,000 to $84,000 over 2 years. That is a real shift, real breathing room, real improvement. They tell themselves this is finally the chapter where things get solid. Now watch what happens. They upgrade the apartment by $350 a month because the old place was wearing them down. They take on a car payment of $420 because the old car was becoming a recurring threat to peace. They spend an extra $250 a month on food and convenience because life has been hard and they are tired of doing everything the difficult way. They start spending another $200 to $300 a month on clothing, social life, health stuff, and all the little parts of adult presentation that felt underfunded before. Suddenly the raise is gone, and none of the categories look stupid. That is the part that matters. The person is not failing because they started acting reckless. They are failing because their better income got immediately assigned to unresolved deficits from the old life. The new money never had a chance to become an emergency fund, a real investment habit, or actual financial leverage. It got swallowed by repair work. Why this feels so different from being irresponsible. If someone blows money on obvious nonsense, they usually know it. There is a little guilt, a little friction, a little internal awareness that maybe this was not the smartest move. Catch-up spending rarely feels like that. It feels adult. It feels necessary. It feels emotionally clean. That is why it can go on for years. A person can keep saying, "I'm just getting my life in order. I'm just fixing what was neglected. I'm just trying to live like a normal person now. I'm just tired of everything feeling hard." Those are all understandable sentences. But if getting life in order keeps consuming every raise, every bonus, every good year, and every bit of new breathing room, then the person can stay stuck in this strange zone where they earn much more than before and still never create meaningful strength. The money improved. The structure did not. The hidden opportunity cost of the catch-up years. This is where the math gets painful. The first few years of better income are often the highest leverage years a person has, because those are the years when your baseline is still relatively low. The habit differences matter a lot. And the money you build early gets the most time to compound. So if those early, finally doing better years get consumed by catch-up spending instead of asset building, the long-term cost is not just what was spent. It is what those years could have become. Say someone could have invested an extra $1,200 a month during their first 5 stronger earning years, but instead that money got absorbed by delayed upgrades, better defaults, and emotional repair spending. That is $72,000 in contributions not made. Give that money another 15 or 20 years at 8%, and now you are talking about something that can easily exceed $150,000 or $200,000 in missed future value. That is a lot of money to lose to the fact that your good years arrived carrying too many emotional invoices from the old ones. Why some people seem to waste their first good years. This is one of the sadder patterns in adult money. People work hard for years to get to a better income level, and then the moment they get there, they use the improved paycheck to recreate a normal life they feel they should have already had. They do not build a base first. They build relief first. That makes total emotional sense. But it is financially expensive because relief is not the same thing as resilience. Relief makes the present feel better. Resilience changes what the future can survive. And if a person spends all of their new money on present relief, then the next setback still hits a structurally weak system. That is why some people can make meaningfully more money and still feel one bad month away from old stress. They use the new income to soften life, not to strengthen it. What the stronger version looks like. Now, there is a smarter way to handle this, and it is not deny yourself forever. That would be stupid and unrealistic. The answer is sequencing. That is the whole game. The stronger person does not pretend they have no backlog. They just stop trying to pay all of it at once. They decide which repairs are truly structural and which ones are emotional spillover. They fix the things that reduce recurring damage first. They build the buffer first. They automate investing earlier than feels emotionally satisfying. They give themselves a catch-up budget instead of a catch-up lifestyle. That distinction matters. A catch-up budget says, yes, I'm going to improve some things. No, I am not giving every delayed desire equal voting power in my financial future. That is maturity. Not pretending you do not want better. Just refusing to let 10 years of postponed comfort set the terms of what your next 10 years will cost. The dangerous story, I deserve to enjoy this. This sentence does a lot of damage because it is usually true. You probably do deserve it. You probably have worked hard. You probably did put up with things too long. You probably are overdue for some ease. The problem is not that the sentence is false. The problem is that I deserve this is a terrible framework for building wealth if it is not paired with. And what does this postpone? Every repair, every upgrade, every convenience, every, finally, purchase has to come from somewhere. If it comes from the money that was supposed to become margin, savings, investing, debt cleanup, or real optionality, then enjoyment is not free. It is arriving on the back of a future that just got a little weaker. Again, that does not mean never enjoy your life. It means stop acting like every delayed one is now morally entitled to your next raise. How to know if you're in this trap? A few signs. If your income has improved meaningfully but your cash reserves still look weak, that is a sign. If every raise disappeared into finally fixing life, that is a sign. If your life feels better than it used to but not much stronger, that is a sign. If the things you upgraded created more recurring costs than real flexibility, that is a sign. If you keep telling yourself you are still settling in financially even though your income improved a while ago, that is a sign. This is not about guilt. It is about diagnosis. Because if you do not recognize the catch-up trap for what it is, you can waste some of the highest leverage years of your adult financial life and still tell yourself a story where you were just trying to become normal. What actually works? If this is hitting close to home, here is the practical shift. When income improves, divide your next layer of money into 3 buckets. First, structural strength. Emergency fund. Debt cleanup. Investing. Anything that makes future life harder to knock over. Second, functional repair. The things that truly reduce recurring friction, protect health, improve reliability, or stop old problems from costing more later. Third, emotional catch-up. The nicer stuff. The comfort. The image repair. The symbolic, I'm finally doing better spending. Most people reverse that order. That is why they stay stuck. The goal is not to eliminate emotional catch-up completely. That would be fake. The goal is to stop letting it arrive first and take the best seat in your financial life. The part that should stay with you. Making more money does not automatically make people stronger. Sometimes it just gives their backlog a bigger budget. That is the catch-up trap. It is what happens when the first good years of income get used to repair all the discomfort, inconvenience, deferred desire, and delayed dignity from the hard years before. It feels fair. It feels justified. It can still be financially destructive. Because if too much of your better income goes toward finally feeling normal, then very little is left to build the kind of structure that would actually make your life secure. And that is the cruel irony. The person is finally doing better, but the money still disappears. Not because they are stupid, because the old life sent a bill, and the new income paid it without asking what it was costing tomorrow. That's it for this one. If this made you rethink why your first better years have not made you as strong as you thought they would, hit subscribe and share this with someone whose paycheck finally improved, but whose backlog immediately started spending it.